Hi, welcome to Crypto Ramble. I'm Desiree. I wanted to talk about some somewhat exciting news that I discovered because I read the newsletters from Jimmy Song occasionally. This is Jimmy Song. He's a Bitcoin educator, developer, and entrepreneur. And his newsletters are actually really informative, and I don't read them all. There's something else I'm going to talk about in the future from one of them. But particularly, I was interested in this. It wasn't recent. It was actually 2 newsletters ago, I think. He was talking about micropayments using Bitcoin's Lightning Network. Lightning Network is Bitcoin's solution to the scaling issue where you want to be able to lower transaction fees and have a high volume of users transacting on the network, and they do this by having a side network where payments can be settled kind of on the side and then they come back as a huge chunk later onto the main blockchain. Now, I am not for Lightning Network as opposed to Bitcoin Cash or even Bitcoin SV. I just have to say this every time. I am not a maximalist. I just want to see the technology go further, and I support that anybody is pushing it in a certain direction. This is a tangent, but one thing I do like about Jimmy when I've seen him talk about coins not being good, even though I don't like the shitcoin stuff, that kind of talk, is that it's true a lot of cryptocurrencies aren't focused on a business perspective and meeting the needs of people in the future. So this micropayments thing that he was talking about is the only thing I picked up out of the entire newsletter that I can remember. I think is very relevant for today's age because the way that content creation and content consumption occurs nowadays is that everything is based off of what advertisers want, because it costs time and effort which you exchange with money to make things and to put it out there, to put it on servers, to take the time to create it. It's labor being put in, it's the creative input of our minds, creators like myself and other creators. And so it's kind of sucks that people don't want to pay for that because free seems free. It's really not. That's why we have all these issues with privacy and our data being sold to people who don't want it to be sold. It's because we're willing to take without giving back. However, something that makes it much easier for creators and viewers, and we're often the one and the same, to get along, is that if you could just give a very tiny amount of funds to a creator, then that would be really awesome, because then it's proportional. You don't have to give like $5 when you watch a video, and it's not like there's not also the cost of taking the time to sign up, that kind of stuff. And what he was saying about the micropayments and Lightning networks, I just took the time to look into it in further detail. Instantly I was like, this is good. This is something that should be focused on. I know that other projects are doing this, some totally non-crypto related, but what I discovered after reading not his post, but actually a post by someone else that I'm going to show, this guy called, I can't pronounce his name, Olaoluwa Osuntokun. I don't know how to pronounce that. He has this long blog post called LSAT Authentication and Payments for the Lightning Native Web. I understood like 80% of it, not all of it. And LSAT stands for Lightning Service Authentication Token. And what's really cool about it is that the idea is for it to work on top of the existing web that we use, because it's going to be integrated into the HTTP protocol, hypertext something protocol. I can't remember what it stands for. And they were talking about these different errors that you get. So you know how you get like a 404 error because a page couldn't be found. There's something called a 402 error that isn't really used, where I don't remember the exact term, but payment hasn't been received. And so what they're proposing with their LSAT, which is native to the Lightning Network, and they already have an implementation called Aperture, starting with that, is that by using these tokens, users can anonymously, which is important, which is also why I got excited, interact with, say, a website that can authenticate that they have the right to access a certain material. And so right now, a lot of programs use APIs as application programming interfaces, where, say, for example, I show my YouTube channels on my websites through a plugin that accesses the YouTube API, and I give a token that I get from Google that says, yes, I'm the owner of this channel, and then I plug it into the plugin, and then it can access my videos and display it in a certain way. And so you have different programs talking to each other, and if you're using the LSAT with HTTP, then you can integrate a blockchain, which would be the Lightning Network, into authenticating, so you're using cryptography to say that you are who you are, and also that you already paid for a certain service, and so that you can access certain features. And they were saying that you can use this for things like micropayments and also streaming content possibly in the future, or tiered pricing systems. So you can only, depending on the authentication that's in your token when it's interacting with a website, for example, you would get access to a certain amount of content based on how much you've been paid. And all of this is done seamlessly, because when I was reading through it, I was like, well, there are, like I said, other projects doing micropayments. I mean, as I've mentioned before, Bitcoin Cashes or Bitcoin SVs, I can't remember, their Twitch, oh my god, Bitcoin SV's Twitch app, where it's like you're paying for the content little by little, and I think we really need that in this day and age. But what is cool about this is that they're thinking broadly. They're thinking of already connecting to services and infrastructure that people already use, so they don't necessarily have to switch to something new, and that is the World Wide Web and HTTP, which is like, you know, that's how we access files on the web, and you know, the servers or whatever talk to each other and serve up pages. So that's really exciting. I think that's like one of the most exciting things I've read recently. And the thing about it is, when it comes to technology, it takes forever to build things and to have it come out. So even though they might have started out with their Aperture thing with Lightning Labs and an implementation of the LSAT token authentication scheme, the path to adoption and real usability for the average person is really, really long. It's really long. So even though I'm like, this is exciting, and I put my moon background because I'm like, yes, this is something that is good for Bitcoin in the long term and it's really serving user needs, I don't know how it will work out in the end, which is like this whole space, the whole crypto space. So I wanted to talk about that because I thought it was cool, and this is Crypto Ramble, and I also love that they were saying that it could be done anonymously, so the programs can talk to each other without necessarily knowing who the users are. I guess depending on how that's configured or the code is written and the kind of cryptography used. That's it. I put a link in the description so you can go and read up on that if you are interested. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you soon. If you like my content, subscribe. Bye.